Masters 2025. We have the world champion Gukesh taking on the best player from the Netherlands, Anish Giri. Knight comes out to f3. Gukesh just travelled from the Khel Ratna award a few hours before the round and he looks pretty sharp there. Knight f6 pushes his pawn to g3. The reti opening is what he is going for, and Anish is very well prepared because Gukesh has played this at the World Championship as well, and clearly Anish has done his homework. Bishop g2, and he pushes his pawn to c5. Gukesh builds his home here. You see with castling, he's put his bishop here, he's built up a nice setup. Anish gets his knight out on c6. Now Gukesh plays e4. The reversed Grunfeld that is played. So when you take, I take back, e5, you can take here, and it's Grunfeld with reversed colors. But Anish goes for a more calm setup. He plays his pawn to e6, opening up his bishop. And Gukesh goes c4. Suddenly we are in Catalan territory here with c4. Anish takes the pawn. And now what does Gukesh do? There are a few options here. You can take on c5, you can play queen a4. He goes for the move queen a4. And once again, white has here pinned the knight. Black can take on d4, play bishop d7. Bishop d7 is the main move here. He pushes the bishop there, and now there are threats like knight takes pawn and attacking the queen. So Gukesh takes the pawn on c5. One of the things about Catalan opening is that there are small advantages for white, one of them being the bishop on g2 being an absolutely excellent piece on this diagonal. So even though black has developed all his pieces, his bishop here on d7 is not particularly the best piece, and that is exactly what Gukesh will try to play against. So knight comes out to c3. And look at the timings on the clock. Anish has 1 hour 43 minutes. Gukesh has 1 hour 34 minutes. Black castles here. And now Gukesh can put the rook on d1 on the open file here. But he first goes e4. His threat is to play e5, gain further space in the position. But Anish goes rook c8, and you can't push e5 just yet because I'll simply take it and then the rook will attack the queen. So it's impossible to play that. He comes back with his queen here to e2. And now his idea can be once again to push the pawn to e5. The bishop comes out to c5. And you can see how Anish is taking control of the dark squares here. Bishop g5 played here. He's pinning the knight. He's threatening e5. So the game is getting very sharp here. Let's see. h6 played by Anish. Now he would expect white to take on f6. Queen takes f6, and it's a normal position to play. But Gukesh provokes Anish. He goes bishop h4. He's like, Anish, if you want to go g5, and Anish does it because that's the only way in which you can punish the move bishop h4. Now the bishop is trapped. Gukesh sacrifices a piece. Pawn, knight takes g5. Pawn takes. And now bishop takes g5 has happened. And there is this nasty pin threatening still the move e5. But Anish finds the best move. He pushes his pawn to e5. Now his knight is coming here. His bishop can drop back. So Gukesh has a lot of thinking to do. Queen d2, the best move in the position. First threat, take the knight and then take the bishop. That's the biggest threat here. The other threat, of course, is to move the bishop and get the queen in. He goes bishop e7, again playing the best move here. Bishop h6. Have to be careful. You can't save the rook because of check and mate. So you need to actually give up your rook, and that is exactly what Gukesh had planned. But in a way, Anish is happy. He goes king h7. He's ready to give up his rook. So takes, you can take with the queen or the bishop. And then in the resulting position, white will have a rook, but black will have two pieces, and white will also have two pawns. So in a way, materially, white is doing very well, but black has excellent pieces. By the way, here maybe preferable was to take with the queen, but bishop takes, he goes f4. He's opening up the position. He wants the rook to come into the game, attacking the knight and the pawn here. Anish goes bishop e6, offering a queen trade. Now, if you are Gukesh, you want to avoid queen trade at all cost, because if you trade queens, black is out of the woods. Knight d5 played. He gets his knight right into the center of the board and increasing the pressure on the f6 knight. Anish plays his knight to b4. What a move this is. You can't take here. This is hanging. If you take on f6, I'll simply take with my queen. Too many things to look for, and fe5 played. Now, one good idea here is to simply take, pawn takes, and take back with the knight. That seems like a good way to play. But Anish plays even better. He goes knight g4. He's more ambitious. He wants to take back on e5 with the knight, and he's telling Gukesh, I am playing for a win here. Rook a d1 played, and also there was a threat of rook c2, but now no longer, because there's knight f6 check and I win your queen. So there is no rook c2. What a move again by Anish. Finds king h8. So now knight f6 doesn't come with a check. The queen is no longer hanging. A very calm and quiet move there by Anish Giri. Fantastic chess. Leaving Gukesh to figure out what to do. He goes king h1. That's a bad move, because now rook c2 is going to come in, and this is all over. Actually, this is going to be a huge attack for black that's brewing. Rook c2, you can see the knight is already there. The queen can enter in at the right time. Where to go with your queen? He goes queen f4. And now the idea here, which is very insane, is knight takes knight. And if you take here, I'll take with the bishop. Because if you take here, I take with the queen. If you take here, I take on h2 and bishop c5. The king is mated there. So Gukesh finds this insane move, queen f3. He doesn't take it. This is a shocking move for Anish. Queen d6, another fine move. The better move here was rook takes g2. That was a winning move. But now takes on d5. Black is still better if he finds rook f2 here. It's the only move to keep the advantage for black, and he finds it. Anish playing some brilliant chess. If you take now knight f2 is just game over, because then there's check. The queen will be looking here. So Gukesh moves the queen to c3. And now once again bishop f5 is an important move to make. But Anish goes wrong. He goes bishop b4. He's attacking the queen here, but queen c1. And now all of a sudden the queen is entering here. You needed the bishop close to your king. Bishop f5. And what is Gukesh's plan now? Goes in queen g5 with just 4 seconds on the clock. All kinds of threats in the position now. This is under pressure. He plays bishop f8 again with 12 seconds. Anish also low on time. You see the move, bishop b4 back. Wasted time. He plays queen h4 check, a mistake. Queen h5 was better. Now king g8 is better. He goes bishop h6. The position is getting wild and intense. Rook d1 played. The two rooks well positioned here. Gukesh wants to push his pawn down the board. Anish takes the pawn on b2. He's now threatening rook takes g2 in some positions. Have to be very careful as Gukesh. He takes here h3. Oh, rook f2 was the best move. And now bishop e4 is the stunning refutation here. It's a crazy move. Anish with just 1 minute will not be able to find it perhaps. This is so tough because bishop e4, if you take, there is rook h2 followed by rook h1 and queen mate. And if you don't, oh, he finds it. Rook takes f2, instantly taken by Gukesh. But now knight takes f2 check. Very important moment. And Anish hesitating a bit. Has he seen the win is the big question. Because if he hasn't, then Gukesh's position is fine. There's only one path here. He takes, king takes, and now knight g4 is the stunner. Because the threat is queen g2 mate. If you take on e4, there is queen f2, and if you take on e4 with the rook, queen b6 check, followed by queen b1. This is the tricky line. Very tricky stuff here. Can Anish find knight g4? It will just give him the win completely.